Guys, listen up. Barbell Apparel is hooking you up with their early Black Friday deals. Starting November 4th, and this is their biggest sale of the year. You can grab any pair of their pants, jeans, chinos, the anything pants, or the sold-out covert pants for just $99. Here's why athletes love these pants. They've got an unbeatable fit designed for freedom of movement. It doesn't matter if you're lifting, running, or just going about your day. These pants move with you. The quality is top-notch. Built to last, and if the size isn't perfect, no problem. Barbell Apparel has got a size exchange guarantee. Being an athlete isn't just in the gym. It's a mindset that you carry every day. And you need gear that keeps up with you. That's why I choose Barbell Apparel. Whether I'm throwing around weights or I'm going out for the night, I look good, I feel good, and I perform even better. So head to barbellapparel.com starting November 4th. Grab your pants for just $99 and experience the best for yourself. These deals won't last, so don't wait.
I'm not against the idea of Jon Jones getting more money. I think when he lays out his negotiation publicly, he's got a lot of problems. Like, to get more money, you got to be respected. I mean, it's as simple as that. There's not any raise anywhere, any position anywhere along the way. It comes with respect. Now, you can get that a few different ways. And what Jon has done and what Jon is capable of doing would qualify you. But you want to be a little careful laying out your reasons why. If you got a hard and fast number and you're not coming off it, you're a principled man, let's just say, don't lay out your reasons why. As soon as you start laying out reasons, you get somebody like Chael to come along and pick them apart. I saw this, the first of the public negotiations was done by Jon Jones yesterday against the UFC on UFC cameras, right? Like the first part of the Hear Me platform was done at their expense on their cameras with their host. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just sharing with you. It can get weird. So Jon instantly goes to Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. A business that he's not in, an organization he's not with, and he couldn't name it, by the way. I mean, not only is he not in it, he couldn't say for you what it was. And he states rumored numbers, and he couldn't even tell you who was rumored to have signed the check. Now, I'm not against Jon. He's not the first to say this. Tito used to talk like that. Tito had a belt of 205 pounds and big draw in boxing at that time. And Tito was the biggest draw in our sport, for sure. Biggest draw in boxing at that time was Roy Jones Jr. And Tito was talking about, what Roy was being paid, and therefore he should be paid. You're kind of looking around and going, I can't begin to be dumb enough to understand how what somebody else is getting paid in a different industry has to do with what you're getting paid. Like, I can't be dumb enough to do that. If you're suggesting that you go box Roy Jones and that you are good enough to beat Roy Jones or even just to compete with him and sell a whole bunch of tickets in the process, yeah, we're probably going to have that conversation about you getting a check like Roy Jones. The foggiest idea what it had to do. I have a foggiest idea what doing MMA against Ken Shamrock in the Ultimate Fighting Championship had anything to do with competing for the WBC against Roy Jones. I still don't. I mean, this argument was made over 20 years ago. I still don't know what it means. And the thing about it that it becomes interesting, and it comes back to the respect factor, is you can ask the UFC to bet against themselves, or you can go bet on yourself. Like the contract that Jon has is a beautiful contract. Jon's champion of the world, for goodness sakes, in the heavyweight class. Headlining a sold-out Madison Square Garden. Like, he deserves a beautiful check, and he's getting one. I'm very confident in telling you If Jon Jones was to fight Aspinall, I believe that to be the biggest fight that our industry has right now. I also believe that to be the biggest fight in the history of the heavyweight division. So if that fight were to happen right now under the contract that is already signed and agreed to, and big celebrations all around when it was done, Jon would receive the biggest payout in UFC history. And if that isn't literal, like he's still not going to quite touch Conor numbers, right? I mean, it's not literally, but it'd be really close. And there's no end on that. That is what's so amazing about it. To give away pay-per-view points, this is not done in any other industry anywhere. Nobody gives a 1099 employee a piece of the business without them writing a check. If you want a piece of the business, you got to buy in. There's ways you can do that, right? If you missed the first round of funding, you can go and get in right now publicly. Just for example, but you're going to have to write a check. You're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to write a check and then get in on the profits. Only this industry and only Dana White, out of pure graciousness, gives the guys what's known as participation. So for every pay-per-view sold, your check goes up. And that doesn't cap. That doesn't cap at $2 million. There is no cap on it. So you must understand what Jon is asking for. He's asking for a great big check, and he gets to be on the come line. He gets to come with the house. If all of you decide you want to see that fight and you all tune in, he gets that too. So you're kind of looking around going, wait a minute. What are we doing here? Is there a number that you'd agree to? Would $10 million do it? The biggest check we've ever written, a bigger check than we even wrote Brock Lesnar. Would $10 million do it? But then you're out. We will promote this. We will attempt to recoup for our investors. And the answer would be no. No, I want to guarantee up front, and I want it on the come line. And you run into multiple problems with this. And one thing that Dana's done, and by the way, they're going to have a talk. There's a talk here. I don't suggest there's not. I just suggest there shouldn't be. That talk was done. That contract is done. It should be honored. The problem you run into, and one of the reasons that very few promoters in history can do sustainable business, which in business, you guys ever go there? First thing you want to sit down and figure out, they won't tell you this in your business courses, okay? First thing you want to do that you figure out is a formula and a recipe that works that you can then duplicate over and over again. That's called sustainability. If you were to go in and human nature says, I can't do something tonight for X amount and tomorrow for less. So if the argument is to come in that this is the biggest fight, this is the biggest heavyweight fight of all time, that is accounted for within the participation portion of the contract. That is why there is absolutely no cap. There is no ceiling on what you can earn. Okay? But you got to understand this concept. Because let's say you come in and go, hey, this is the biggest fight. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to give you a new deal. When this fight is over, that athlete's going to look at it and go, okay, my next fight isn't as big of a fight. There's no way they're going to say, I'm going to go do the same thing that I just did. You're paying me the same or more. And everybody in the UFC, from the beginning of the UFC, has fit into that box. Each time you do something successfully, the next time you do it, you will be paid the same or more. It only goes up. It never goes down. So if your argument is this is such a big fight and therefore I should be paid X, okay, but you don't have two big fights out there. You don't have 3 and 4. You lack the capability to go out and create those. Michael Chandler did it last night, by example. He even did it on the loss. He created an excitement for what could be next, just by example. Israel Adesanya, master of doing this. Sean O'Malley, master of doing this. Colby Covington, master of doing this. Jon's not equipped with that. So if I come to the table to do a deal that's against the deal that I already did, right? Like if I come and see it your way, Jon, the other thing I got to admit to myself and everybody else is that I got it wrong in the first place. If you should be having more this time, then I should have got that right the last time. So to give you more means you got it wrong, and it means I did it wrong, or it means we both done a really good job. It means we created something bigger than we even envisioned at the time. We should be shaking hands and telling each other, great job. But instead of doing that, we're going to bring in Mike Tyson and Jake Paul and rumored numbers. I mean, I don't say this to make Jon sound stupid. He can handle that on his own. For Jon to bring in a business that is not his, he literally, make him a deal right now. Jon, tell me who signed that mythical check, of which your numbers may or may not be true. Just tell me who signed it. You're telling me about this business that's so much better than mine. Tell me who did it. I'd like to talk to that man. Can't do that. Doesn't know who signed the check. Doesn't know a damn thing about the business. And I'm only bringing it to you that if you ever dream of being a fighter, and I don't mean that you go out there and you fight, like you dream of being a fighter and you dream, hey, when I'm done with that, I'll have this freedom. I'll be out on the beach. I'll have my fishing rod. And to have that dream come true, in our industry, there's only one way to do it. You must have participation at some point in your career. Nobody will make money to where they can leave the sport and choose what they do with their time for their rest of time. Nobody. Unless they had points. And Jon has been fighting on points. Well, he was the youngest guy to ever do it. Right? Youngest champion ever. As soon as you become champion, you are now on points. Not the night you became champion. As soon as you win the championship, now it activates. So defend. As soon as you're defending a belt. And I'm just sharing for you, like, Jon's in a really beautiful spot. For Jon to want more, he's not doing anything wrong. But he's not being reasonable. I mean, we have seen guys out of the company. Like, if you think for a second that you could walk away from Tom Aspinall and the industry gets hurt, you're of course wrong. I mean, it's to the point where Jon is demanding more money and Tom's just begging for the fight. They don't have that fight. So I'm just saying, like, if you think that you could walk away from it and you could hurt the industry, you're just wrong. And if you think that you will harm the organization and or the business, that's what leverage is, that you have something that if you don't give, you harm them. If you think that you have something that can hurt them and you're an underdog, you're wrong. And the line already came out. Tom is the favorite. If legacy and the way you're talked about is what matters to you, you're not going to get over with that whole I couldn't come to terms thing. When it was come to terms with the first opponent in the history of my career that the odds makers don't think I can beat. It's like, no, that's the one that you have to go out and win. You have the talk after that, but I'm not getting in Jon's wheelhouse too much. Like his private business and the way he goes out and makes his money, he's very skilled. It's just a matter of trying to be reasonable with him and say, Jon, you are not entitled to pay-per-view points. No business in the world gives points away. None. They sell them to shareholders. You are going to be given them, and they are endless. And by the way, your work is the same. You're not a media mogul out there hound to start with. You're not going to be in this one either. You're going to do the same thing that you always do. But we are going to go do our job extra. We are going to invest extra. We are going to bring in more revenues. And when we do all of that, we hand you a portion. It's really an incredible thing. I don't actually come to you attempting to scold Jon Jones. I come here, I want Jon to be happy. Believe it or not. I want Jon to be able to look at it and say, man, I'm really respected. These guys really look after me. Nobody has ever fought for points more times than me. I'm the best at doing it, but I didn't earn that. I didn't work harder or sacrifice more. I got the DNA. I'm just the guy that can go out and do it. Everybody on the card that didn't make a fraction what of I made did the same thing I did. And it's a very hard mentality to have. It really is. And a capitalist doesn't have to have that. Not asking Jon to accept it and not attempt to renegotiate. I'm just trying to get him to understand what he has negotiated. He's bringing in mythical numbers that he doesn't know, signed by an unnamed person in a completely different industry over to his, where he is the highest paid because of you. You decide you want to see him. Generally, you want to see him lose. That is the entire reason the Tom Aspinall fight would be so big. People are tuning in to see Jon get beat. But to go out and renegotiate and act as though we've got 2 and 3 and 4 more of these, no, we don't. You got one. Let's go get that check. Then let's keep the pay-per-view, let's keep the bonus, let's keep the structure in place so that you are constantly incentivized. It's really quite a perfect world. And I would like for Jon to enjoy it. I think most of us would be very jealous of that. I think most of us would be very envious. There was 14 fights on the card last night. There was 28 athletes. Only 2 got participation. And Jon was one of them. I think that's a very exciting thing. And I think when you talk about respect and or disrespect, there's another side where you have got to respect the industry. You've got to respect the players. You've got to respect the very arguments that you're putting out, of which are mythical numbers signed by a person who you do not even begin to know what their name is. And you're the highest paid guy. You got to close out the night. You got all the cheers. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And if you just want to talk about respect, he has definitely got it.